Welcome to Nameless Debate Radio, where radioactivity is contagious.
How do you know it wasn't 2? Like, I don't think you can invoke Occam's razor and say, oh, well, like, it's simpler if there's just one. Like, I mean, we don't know either way. I don't think it necessarily becomes more complicated.
Wouldn't it be easier just to say there was a robbery, right?
Sure, yeah.
As a collective explanation, right?
Sure.
And it definitely encompasses all possible results.
Yeah.
So that's kind of.
But you're not. But your claim is stronger. Your claim is that there is one, like, fundamental, unending cause, and that the possibility of more is impossible.
Yes, I would think that if not necessarily impossible, less probable.
Okay.
Less probable, and I'm going with something. My reasoning is going with larger probability and also less proneability. Is that a thing? Less proneability to making errors. Does that make sense?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just it seems like making any claim on this is like so hard to do.
I think
probably unknowable.
Yes, I want to kind of also like elaborate on the nature of what I think God is, right? And I'm saying, like, I want to really outline that I don't think it's a person, and I don't think this thing is conscious.
Okay. Well, yeah.
And I don't think that I don't think he really cares what we do. In that sense.
Wait. So wait, because you said you don't think it's a person.
Yes, and it applied to he, because in the Arabic language we don't have neutral pronouns.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I understand.
Yeah, so I can say it and I can say she. I will not get offended by that. I just it's it's a social construct. But like seriously speaking, God doesn't have a gender in my opinion because it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's not a person, it's not living, and it's not
well, it depends on what religion we're talking about, because God does have a gender.
According to Christianity, right?
I mean, according to Islam, I believe too.
I don't think so. We apply. In that case, the moon has a gender in the Arabic language. The sun has a gender in the Arabic language.
I don't know. I mean, it's a person, and you're applying like
if you want
gendered
to accept
pronoun to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would just call that gender, but.
In the Arabic language, there's nothing that you can call it. There's literally nothing. We call a car she, and we call the sun she.
Right, but like that, I mean, that has to do with the culture and the language kind of not, I guess, seeing things through the lens of this, like, this binary.
Yes, we're not necessarily saying these things are feminine or masculine. It's just the nature of the language. The words based on how the words are constructed.
I don't know enough about Arabic, but I could see that not being true.
Really? So if you have a ta marbuta at the end of a word, that's usually an indication that it's feminine. If you have an alif and then a hamza at the end of the word, that's an indication that it's feminine. If you have usually there are things that indicate that they're feminine. If the absence of those feminine things make it masculine, basically.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know enough. I'll trust you, I guess. I'll just default to you on this one.
Well, I mean, there are other languages we can point out that have like a similar occurring instance. Right?
Yes, I think there's actually languages that don't even have gender pronouns. That it's all neutral, and they're yeah. I wouldn't know. I think there might be languages that there are pronouns that have a collective gender, but I don't want to go into that. So yeah, I think it's I never made it clear enough.
There's been so much like work done in the realm of sociology on like gender and language and how it's this whole mess. I haven't read any of it myself. I just know it's like a big meme.
So all right, yeah, back to the discussion. I think I can definitely clarify my stance on God, but I don't think so far I have not made a really good argument for why I'm Muslim, right?
Well, so like, here's maybe what would help me. Can you point to something maybe like novel or specific within the Quran which really really fits with your own beliefs?
All right. All right. I'm gonna go through it. Yeah.
Yeah, just like any small thing.
Okay. Yeah. So the first one of the main surahs in the Quran, like a whole chapter, right? And it's like it's literally the kind of a sort of a defining of God. And they say in it says قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. It says say that declare that God is one, and then Allah is Samad. God is self-sustaining. لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ. He did not give birth, nor was he given birth. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. And there is no counterpart to him.
Oh, what was that last one?
وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. And there is no counterpart or what do you
There's like
call it?
no
When
rival.
Complement.
Or
There we go.
compliment, yeah.
Yes. That's pretty much it. That's very solid definition in my opinion of that agrees with it.
Is there anything within the realm of like ethics you could point to?
Ethics.
Because like the reason I said like novel or like unique was that like I could go to any monotheistic religion and get pretty similar descriptions of God, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. So okay, you want more detailed description then?
No, just like something like maybe a little more unique to
All
the
right.
Quran in your opinion.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the most unique things though. Let's see. I'm just going through the chapters in my mind. 1 second. Okay, so I know all faiths kind of tend to say God is the reason and cause for everything.
Not even about like. I think we should abandon God, right? Because I don't think your idea of God matches with. Well, I guess it does if you like reinterpret the fuck out of it. But like,
if you can give me a better word than God, I would use that other word.
I mean, I gave you other words.
Like you said, cause, right?
I sure, like cause, foundation, like origin,
source, maybe.
But the
source,
collection,
reason,
the collection of those words, right? The collection of those words, right? There must be a word for that, actually.
Well, like, here's the thing. Okay, so like, if I were to ask like a Christian, you know, why are you a Christian that held your position, right? Where they were a Christian, but they didn't believe that God had any degree of personhood, right? But they still followed along with the teachings of the Bible, not because they, you know, saw like some authority given to, or some legitimacy given to it by the fact that it was like inspired by the divine. Or anything like
so
that.
it's based on like
they
something
just like,
that
yeah, it's like it's literally you. And like I haven't read all the Quran. I've read the Bible a few times, so I can speak a little more on that. But like, if they had a position analogous to yours, and I asked them a question like, okay, well, if you know you kind of abandon this big part of Christianity, why do you still consider yourself a Christian, right? And they say, oh, well, you know, my beliefs happen to line up with the Bible's very closely. And I asked, like, you know, like I asked you, what would like an example of this be? They might give you something like the Golden Rule or one of Jesus's parables.
Oh,
or,
so like the ethical, moral
like some
reason,
moment of like just like anything
like
that you see as kind of unique to Islam or novel about it. Because I think I could get this idea of God or understanding of God from like basically
objective
any religion.
Yeah. So what makes Islam unique in that aspect? Actually, I don't think it's actually most religions are actually not very unique from each other with respect to ethics, in my opinion. They all promote responsibility. They all promote duties, and they also promote equity, and what else?
Well,
yeah, I know they're always they're often taken out of context and abused, right? But they usually you could say that the people who brought the faith in the first place were kind of, in a sense, sort of teachers. In a sense, they spent a lot of time in seclusion. How can I explain this? I don't know. It's either I'm tired right now,
Oh
or
my God. Rip.
yeah.
I
Basically, what I'm trying to say
I think
is
we're getting off track. I'm literally just asking you, like,
yes.
what is something from the Quran that you either learned or you feel like, you know, that's a really good thing. That's a good lesson about, you know, how the world should run, or
hmm
I guess you like how you think the world works, that is maybe more unique than just like the idea of a supreme cause.
Ah. In the Quran, unique to Islam. I don't think there is anything
Well, all right,
absolutely
it doesn't have to
unique.
be. It doesn't have to be absolutely unique to Islam.
Hmm. I mean, like this is all these
But, I mean, I
there's
guess
all
it
these
doesn't.
themes.
Like, but like by you saying that, like,
Yes.
why the hell are you a Muslim?
No, I'm saying there are many themes,
If
right?
you think you can derive your beliefs from like anything,
Mm-hmm.
like why choose Islam?
No, my beliefs are derived based on objective fact. Objective fact.
Right. But you identify as Muslim because they align with the teachings of the Quran, right?
Yes,
But it seems like everything we go to can be found like anywhere. So like, why not adopt one of those instead, or just say screw it altogether?
I think essentially what I'm trying to say is, right. I have an idealistic part of my mind, and I have the logical aspect of my mind. And my logical aspect of my mind is telling me there is a universal cause.
Okay.
My idealistic part of my mind is agreeing with the morals that are in the Quran.
All right, like what?
The morals
Like, wait,
the
what's an
morals,
example of the
yes,
moral? Yeah,
yes.
give
So
me some morals.
there's many underlying themes in the Quran. Among them are responsibilities. Among them are justice. Among them are justice, responsibility. Okay, yeah, and then there's what do you call it? Returning dues and whatnot, debts and what do you call it? Knowledge, giving, unconditional giving, things like that. Oh, and tolerance and things like that.
Okay.
If you want me to recite verses for those, I would.
I'm just looking for like an example. I just have a really hard time understanding your position because it seems like everything you've given me can be derived from
Other faiths, right?
yeah.
So I'll go through other faiths and tell you what I don't like about them. If you
Okay.
say Buddhism, right?
Okay, sure.
If you say Buddhism, I actually don't have anything wrong with it. I can definitely
Wait, Vivi,
ascribe.
Vivi. Okay,
Yes.
wait, Vivi. You can't say like, all right, how about instead we go through every religion and I tell you what I don't like about it and why I'm not a part of it. And then the first example you go to
Yes.
is Buddhism, and the first words out of your mouth are, I actually have absolutely no problems with this religion.
Yes. I wanted to go to that one first because it was the only exception.
Then why? Okay, fine. All right, sorry.
Yes. Hinduism. I don't believe in the multiple deities that they ascribe and they give a personal aspect to them. In fact, almost every religion we know of kind of ascribes a personal God, which I definitely disagree with. So we can go on to Christianity and even Judaism, and I disagree with those gods for the same reasons. Especially polytheistic faiths, I disagree with because of the notion of multiple deities.
Okay.
And
wait, really
and how
quick.
they quarrel and whatnot.
By an impersonal God, you just mean a God that doesn't really interfere with things anymore.
I want to say a God that is not a person, is not an individual. It doesn't necessarily have a conscious or intention or whatnot.
This just might be like a language thing. So, like, I think typically when people say impersonal God, well, like, do you believe in a personal God or an impersonal God?
I don't believe in either because I don't believe in asking nature for things and it giving you based upon your asking.
Okay.
And I don't believe in an absent cause, something that just pushed the domino and just then let things go.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like Islam pretty heavily and explicitly indicates that God is a
A
personal
being
God.
that you ask
a
and
being that interferes in the lives of men.
hmm
Or like, even if you want to say, okay, it's not really a being, like that it, I mean, like, what is all this crazy supernatural shit happening in these books? Like, is that really an
I'll
impersonal?
actually agree
Like,
with you, right? I'll deny that. I don't believe in things that can violate the physical nature of the universe. But the thing being is, you can always reframe these things, which is where the loophole is.
I feel like every criticism you're going to give me of another religion
Mhm.
is going to be just as applicable to Islam.
Okay, so I said in the case of Hinduism, the multiple deities and they're personal people, and they argue amongst themselves, right?
Okay.
That's very problematic in my opinion.
Okay,
That's-
sure.
in
That's fair. That's fair.
in Christianity, also the same thing. God speaking to himself in the sense that he's the Son and the Father. Really makes no sense to me.
Okay.
And in Judaism, they ascribe certain divinity traits to people that I, I just think that is also beyond understanding. They're just saying these people have certain traits based upon their blood that runs through them. I don't think so. That sounds pretty mythical to me. And
I mean, what if I were,
yes,
a Christian with your position only, Christian version?
okay. So
and
you
said,
can say
well, actually, Jesus wasn't the Son of God. I mean, Jesus himself never said he was the Son of God. Really,
you can
God is
reframe.
just this metaphor, and all the, anthropomorphizing of God is really just metaphorical.
Okay, so
And
we can do that.
because like doing what you did to Islam, I can just as easily hand wave away all these concerns
All right.
for like Christianity, and I think even Hinduism and Buddhism.
You can say, all right, in the case of Hinduism, for example, you can say that each god is not necessarily actually a god, but they're just an aspect of God, right? No, part
Yeah,
of the
and
Brahma.
there's some discussion. Again, I'm not knowledgeable enough to. There's some discussion over whether Hinduism is actually a polytheistic religion,
Yes.
because in a sense, all the deities are aspects of the same God.
hmm
But I could come up with some like crazy bullshit, like, oh, like really the multiple aspects in Hinduism, these are just representative of the chaotic seeming nature of the universe and nature itself. Like, right, like, I mean, I can get to anywhere I want with any of these texts.
So, all right. So I see what your argument's actually pretty strong. You're saying that I can, if I was of any faith, I would be able to reframe, right? But do you think that the less I reframe, the better?
Wait, refrain from what?
Reframe, not refrain. The M is at the end, not the N. Reframe. Actually, not M at the end. M-E at the end. I'll type it in chat if you want.
Wait, what are you refraining from?
Reframe. Oh God.
It's an N at the end, I'm pretty sure.
Um.
I think he
What?
means
But
like
what are you
reframing.
refraining from?
Reframe. He's not refraining. I think he's saying that he's like reframing the meaning of the Quran, and that's like, or at least that's what the conclusion is.
Okay, I'm just saying that if you are comfortable
Mhm.
with reinterpreting the Quran to
Yes.
this extent, and this is the method by which you get the Quran to kind of match your own beliefs
Mhm.
and then identify as a Muslim, I'm saying that using like this exact same level of reinterpretation or reframing, you could call yourself anything.
Actually, I think the Islamic concept of God is the closest concept of God to my concept of God than any other faith. Like what's generally accepted as what God is.
But I mean, you say that the Islamic concept of God,
Yes.
but you've handwritten, like you're literally saying that this God doesn't have personhood.
Yes. In Islam, we don't. Like I said, this person. we don't. I was taught as a kid, right, that this God did not have a personality, emotions, anything like that. Something that's often ascribed to in other faiths. And I was told that was the reason why we were Muslim.
I need
Because
to
we-
meet your fucking parents, dude.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about. Have you spoken to them about this?
I'm
wondering if they would agree with you.
Okay, so they probably agree with me that God doesn't have emotion and that God doesn't have a personal aspect, right? Like a he's not a person.
Yeah.
And they would also agree with me that he's immaterial.
Okay.
And they would also agree with me that he's eternal, and they'll also agree with me. So what did I say? Universal cause.
Yeah.
They'll agree with my definition. But let me think. What would they disagree with?
Actually, hang on. I've got to go give my roommate a hand really
Okay.
quick. I might show up later.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
sorry to cut this short like right now, but I'll be back on if you ever want to talk more.
No problem, man.
I'm very interested in your position.
Thanks.
That's for sure.
I appreciate it. Every day I learn something new about myself.
All right.
Take care.
Well, take care, baby. I love you guys. See you later.
Take care. Oh man. All right. Where was I? Yeah.
You don't characterize God as like a person?
Yes.
I mean, do you believe that humans were made in God's image?
No. Certainly not.
Interesting.
I mean, I guess you can reframe it to be such, but I don't. I mean, like, just
Well, what do you believe?
What do I believe? I just believe humans are a result of God's being, like that they were caused because it's just the nature of what's described.
So are you saying that humans
Yes.
are a result of the nature of the thing that is why we're here?
Yes.
You understand that this is, in a manner of speaking,
Yes, you
saying
could.
the
Yes,
same
you can reframe
meaning,
it and
right?
say God is created and we were
Right. So
created in
like,
God's
why
image.
why do you disagree when?
Because it kind of implies that God is also human. The other way around.
Well, I mean, you don't really have like to create something. You don't need to be human, right?
Yes.
All right. So I mean, like.
But when we say God is we created in God's image, it kind of implies that God, in a sense, has an aspect of us backward. Like you go backwards with that translation, and
No, it's more like
God.
It's more like what's the meaning, or at the very least, what I mean when I say it is that there are attributes and/or qualities within humans that were gained from God.
Yes. And what are these attributes? How would we know those?
Well, that's what the discussion is for, right?
Yes. So I definitely think that God does not have emotion. That's very important for me. So that's out of the window. And I definitely also think
Well, why
that
do you
God.
think that?
Because if God had emotion, that would play into him being a person.
I mean,
And I don't believe in that.
well, the Quran character, well, sorry, I won't speak on the Quran because I don't know the Quran.
It's okay.
And you can
So like
you can speak to me about like the Quran if the Quran doesn't do this.
Okay,
But I
yes.
am like
So
fully aware of the Bible and how they legitimately say that God feels specific things or that God does things in X emotion.
yeah, I understand that. I'll actually use some Quranic verses that kind of have some similar parallels, right? So it does say in the Quran, what do you call it? وَغَضِبَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَعَنَهُمْ. So basically, in a sense, it says God blocks, right? وَغَضِبَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ. Basically, turns away in a sense from certain types of people, right? And that seems very personal in an aspect, right?
Well, I mean, you can come to the rational decision to turn away from another person regardless of emotion, so that doesn't necessitate emotionality or
Yes,
just emotion.
it does not necessitate emotionality, but does necessitate intention, I would assume, or even preference. And I think those are actually even problematic in themselves as well.
Well, I think this is also where Spider was like confused and or very interested in your position, because your position is like in order to characterize God, in order to frame or match your stance, you take out the character of God.
You would have to take out the character of God. Yes. Anything
Yeah.
that's usually associated with God, I don't believe. I generally don't believe that those associations.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I think that's understood, but I think where the disconnect is that at this point you have gone so far with decharacterizing what God means, not just within Islam, but within any monotheistic religion or even some polytheistic religions, and you've essentially just described what the atheist point of view is.
Well, I'm going to say that oftentimes atheists are very educated people, and they look into things and they use science more objectively than religious people are in their dogma. They probably are closer to the truth than most theists are.
No, like if you have your reasons for holding on to the Islam faith and declaring that you are a Muslim, I don't have an issue with that. I just don't. I'm evaluating your stance purely off of the words that you're choosing and how you're representing your stance. In doing so, I'm interpreting that you're more leaning towards an atheistic point of view than any particular faith.
Yeah. Yes. I will actually describe something interesting.
Yeah, my problem isn't that you.
Say what? All right. So what I was saying was what I find interesting is oftentimes Muslims will tell me atheists are halfway to being Muslim. That's what I've been told because they have the first part of the declaration of Islamhood, which is La ilaha, right? Which means there's no God, basically. and that resonates a lot with me because we're like rejecting all these people gods, if I want to say that. Although some people don't believe in that type of stuff, anyways. And we're saying that yes. Go ahead.
Well, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you, so I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna explain that we're just saying we are rejecting all personnel gods and whatnot, and we're just holding tight to the universal one.
Yeah, the universal source or cause of the nature of reality seems to be the thing that you're ascribing to here.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. That if you call it God or Allah or anything other than, a source or a cause or just the laws of nature, right? You can that's a thing that is you can do, but the ideology behind it is more, I think, where the
Okay,
misinterpretation comes from.
So I want to say the reason why I particularly like the word God a lot is because it captures a lot of qualities. For example, if I say the truth, the actuator, the reason, the sustainer, the what do you call it? The parent, even, right? Then all those kind of things.
Yeah, but see, you use the word parent, and parent is that implies personhood.
Not necessarily. We use the word parent in computer science, I think.
And you mean when we have to insert a male chip into a female compartment in order to create a computer? Is that what you're talking about?
Not necessarily. I think parent is like a larger category that contains subcategories or something along the lines.
Yeah, but I mean, like the implications when you use parent, even in the umbrella term that you've used it in, right? You can, like, mama bears have emotion. Mama bears protect their children. Children grow up to be like the mama bear. So, like, you're implying that there is some type of characterization of, like, the cause of everything, which would imply personhood.
All right, so maybe I should use a better word. Progenitor. I don't know.
You're going to end up coming into you're essentially now describing an ancestor.
but it says a person or thing from which a person, animal, or plant descends or originates from. So I
Well,
think I'll stick with parent actually, because we use that in computer science.
well, right, because in computer science we know that computers aren't people,
Yes.
right? But there's also been the same like arguments that have been made where humans are just computers. And
Hmm.
there's also another sense of what it means to be artificially intelligent where we make the distinction between like a computer and a human. And I just it seems the disconnect now is
Hmm.
that like you're saying that we were caused by this thing that does not share the same qualities as we do.
So I'm saying they don't have these qualities we do, and yes, and I agree with you. So probably parent is not the best word of choice, but I do want to kind of mean that this thing is the sustainer and reason and cause and all these other words, right?
Well, it's not just all these other words, and the reason why I'm cracking down a little bit harder on like your word usage is because when you use specific words in the way that you're using them, you also have other connotations to them.
So
Like if
like
you were just talking about the cause or the reason or the truth or the source or just the laws of reality or stuff like that,
yes,
right? These all generally and even more synonymously mean the same thing that your stance is truly holding, at the very least from what I'm
yes.
interpreting. But when you get into like the
Hmm.
parent or like the caregiver, like these are other words that they are starting to detach from this line of thought and they're going into another interpretation,
Yes,
another
I would
implied
agree.
meaning.
So I'm gonna avoid using the word parent, and I'm gonna be avoiding the use of compassionate and whatnot.
Well, I mean, it's not that I'm trying to police your language here. I'm saying all of this to say what you are describing is more likely the atheist point of view. And the reason for that is because if you use the other words and believe that these other words are part of what you consider God to be, parent, caregiver, provider, things of this nature, you're starting to imply personhood with those
I
things.
see. Hmm. All right. I think I would have to look into the definition of certain words, and I want to kind of remove the humanistic aspect of them. So, mm,
I mean, I understand where you're coming from, right? So like
yeah.
there is no misunderstanding of where your stance is. I am trying to explain where the disconnect may be when Spider continues to ask more and more of your stance, because the way that you're describing your stance, it's like you're using language in order to describe how you
Mhm.
feel, but the way you feel comes off more as an atheist and atheist.
Yeah, because I don't believe in blind belief.
Well, yeah, I'm not making derogatory accusations.
I'm
I'm
saying like
trying to explain.
if because I don't believe in blind belief, I'm an atheist, then I'm an atheist. I don't mind that.
Well, no, it's not even that. I mean, I think that might just like. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Well, what do you think I'm saying?
You're saying that I have a closer standpoint to an atheist than to a theist, and that perhaps because of that, I could probably change the word I use for that explanation as I could trade the word God for something else, right?
Well, more the first part than the second part. However
Hmm.
you want to call it is however you want to call it. Like I'm just trying to make clear that when you use the word God, there are other implications
Mm,
generally associated with the word God. So when you go about having the theological discussion with others,
yes.
they may end up being confused as to what you mean.
Hmm. I agree with you there. And in fact, like we also had a couple of conversations yesterday with some people, and they were also confused. So I think I should probably find a better word to define what I'm trying to explain without like kind of having implications that are not necessarily what I mean,
I,
right?
I, your choice to do whatever you want to do. I saw that there was not a bad type of back and forth, but that there's a disconnect, and I was hoping to try to clarify.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. You did clarify a little bit.
Um, okay. I mean, I don't know. I have a different
Yeah,
approach to it. So
sure. That's do you mind like if you share your approach?
I mean, generally speaking, I think regardless of whatever route to understanding or particular faith one ascribes to, that there is a particular phenomenon that is the cause for everything, and whether you use the word law, the phrase laws of nature, or God, or anything, like we're all essentially pointing towards the same thing. We're just describing it differently.
Yes, I agree with you there. I think language is a barrier.
Well, I mean, I think it also comes down to genuine beliefs, right? Because like even when what you're talking about, you're saying that God is not a person.
Yes.
And there's a very huge difference between that and the other Abrahamic religions.
Yes.
Because to the other Abrahamic religions, they believe that God is a person.
Yeah, I would agree with that. A lot of people of the Abrahamic religions, not necessarily all of them, but a great majority of them do believe that. Yes.
Well, right. And I think like you both are still describing the same thing. You both just have different interpretations of the thing that you're describing.
Yes, the specifics of what we're describing are different. Yes. Specifics. In general, we got the same concept.
Well, I mean, that's where I guess the particular stance that they take is that I find no merit in holding one of more value than the other, at least on a pure rational basis.
Actually, I think I should probably write down what my beliefs are and then make sure I am okay with that, and then finally find out a way to better articulate myself in that field. Do you think that would be a good idea for me?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to try to police or manipulate people into doing anything. It's just
I don't know. I'm just looking
whatever
for
you want.
insight.
Probably. And sometimes writing helps. Sometimes like there's different outlets anyone can take. It's just a matter of what you want to do.
All right. Thanks, man.
No problem.
Yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna sleep on this. What time is it? It's 1 a.m. Oh my god. Thanks, Cross. I really enjoyed this speech, and a speech. What is this? A debate? Yes, or you know what? This is more like a discussion, to be honest. And I really appreciated your input. So maybe talk tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. Take care, man.
You too.
Have a good night.
Did you still want to argue, Jordan Peterson guy?
Yo,
What's up?
you guys done?
Yeah, they both left.
Okay. So I gotta. You guys look at.
Thank you for listening. Like, share, subscribe, and join us in the Nameless Debates Discord. We hope to see you there.